Mums ir īpašs viesis, Lisabonas Universitātes docents un pētnieks Rui Melo. Rui, where are you? Yes, it's time. As you can see, we have a nice little team of specialists ready to change the paradigm. Because, of course, every one of us understands everything. We know exactly what to do, how to do. But now, let's listen what we can do to help the others.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's do it.
Good luck.
Okay, thank you very much. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank the organizing committee for inviting me to be here today and share with you some thoughts I've been having about the way we are dealing with occupational health and safety issues within the companies and the way we are treating our workforce for many years. Because I've been working for 30 years in the education system, namely in the University of Lisbon. But during all this period, I have been asked many times to go to the companies and try to help them solving some of the problems they face. So what I'm bringing here to you today is why I think, so the reasons I think we need to change the paradigm of the safety and health issues approach we have having today. And so I have structured my presentation following this. I will present you some facts that some of you must be aware of. Then I will move into the concerns I have raised throughout the years. And finally, I will try to provide you with some possible ways to change the way we are dealing with this type of problems that the workforce is facing. So, to begin with, if we take a look at the numbers of the negative effects of working, we can see that globally, at a global scale, worldwide, the number of the amount of money that is spent with occupational health and safety negative outcomes, namely accidents and illnesses, is quite huge. So $3 trillion are spent annually. Moreover, this becomes more impactful if we think this is more or less the same of the combined gross production of the 130 poorest countries in the world. We only have 180 countries in the world. So this is quite significant. Moreover, if we think of the amount of accidents and diseases that happen and that end with the death of the workers, this is quite impactful also. If we zoom in and take a look of what is happening in the European Union, of course the numbers are scaled down, but are still quite impressive. It's nearly 500 million euros spent annually. And we know, in the way that some of our previous speakers have already told you, that these numbers are underestimated. So the number of accidents occurred in 2022 in Europe that did not produce any deaths are also around 3 million, which means that we have lots of accidents, and I did it on purpose. I'm not reporting rates because I think these numbers are much more impactful. And the reason why I choose this is because we have to change, namely we have to change managers' minds. That's why I think this draws their attention to the problem. So, presenting these results, we realize that we are doing mostly the same throughout the years. I record you that I'm doing this for 30 years, and I see no difference in the results. So, if we are doing the same and we are obtaining the same results and they are not satisfying, it means that something must change. So you may say, so, and he's going to tell us what's going to change now. Now, I have some ideas, and I have put some in practice, and some have worked. So if they work with the companies I've worked with, why shouldn't they work with your companies? So that's why I decided to share my thoughts here with you. So if this happens, it's time for us to question what are we doing, and what are we doing well, and also what are we doing wrong, and to rethink and at least to challenge ourselves to change something, to improve working conditions so that the safety and health of our workforce is better. So one of the first things I think needs to be shaken is the employer's mindset. And to do this, because they don't think that OSH matters within their companies. They, most of the time, think that it's merely a legal obligation, but it's also, and above all, a legal right of the workers. So it is our duty to comply not only with legal obligations, but to go further on. So I found this quite interesting, and there's a study published in 2013 that shows that for each euro invested in OSH issues, the return is more than double. And I think when we show these figures to employers, they understand that they are not spending money. They are investing, and they are investing in the most valuable asset of their company, which are workers. Without workers, a company doesn't work. They don't produce, there's no profit, and there's no sustainability of the company. So it's worth investing in OSH issues. And these are the most well-known outcomes of this investment. So we stop spending money with accidents and diseases. Workers will feel more motivated and will also increase productivity. And moreover, we also identify that that the quality of not only the products, but also the service that companies provide to society increases. So, aligned with this, I also think that we have another problem within companies, and that is when we implement and show to the society that we have implemented integrated management systems, namely quality, environment, and OSH. The OSH element, or the OSH part, is always the poorest. So money is not equally divided. So it seems that employers give more, or think quality and environment is more important, and they are neglecting their workers. And also connected with this, we have a problem with leadership. OSH leaders are supposed to serve as a role model for their workers. They must motivate them to be engaged with OSH problems, not only reporting problems they may find within their premises, but also to contribute to the solution. I have had some experiences with empowering the workers so that they have the knowledge, they have the abilities to identify the problem and to come up with solutions, and good solutions they have proposed. So this is one of the first problems I think that we must face. We have to change employers' mindset. The second problem arises from the amount of micro, small, and medium enterprises that exists around the world. And the problem is more impactful if you look at what happens in the European Union. It's huge, the amount of enterprises of this type that exist, and it's also huge, the amount of workers they have on their own. So, and why do I think this is a problem? This is a problem because when we analyze their situation, we realize that they present the highest rates of workplace accidents and professional diseases. And the main reasons they present to have these results are listed here. And how can we deal with it? How can we overcome this problem? Luckily, the International Labour Organization, along with 2 other institutions, have developed in 2021 a program, a training program, that is available in Spanish, French, and English for everyone, that aims at raise awareness for OSH problems, OSH principles, OSH concepts, OSH processes, and OSH tools among the workers, the managers, and the employers of these type of companies. So it's available not only a manual for the participant, it's available a guide for the trainer, and even a presentation with notes for the trainer. So why aren't the micro, small, and medium enterprises using it? Probably because they are not aware of the existence of this program. The third concern I have is related to the definition that we or most of us are using when we are dealing with safety issues. So for us, we consider that safety is in place when the number of adverse events is as low as possible. What are adverse events? Are incidents, near misses, accidents, and professional diseases. So we are focused on negative outcomes. And the problem is that when we are managing safety issues, we are relying on measures of that equal 0 when the performance of safety is high. And that's a problem, because that's not the way we function. And that's, as I will show you later on, that's also a problem because we are missing relevant information that we could have. And we have access, but we are neglecting it. So this approach that we are relying on is what Hollnagel calls safety 1. And it's problematic because it relies on 2 main assumptions. The first one is that we think that all systems can be decomposed in their elements. And when we think of an organization, we have the technology, we have humans, and we have the organizational factors. And we think that if we know all that we have to know about each of them, we know how the system is going to work. And that's not the case. Moreover, we have another problem, which is that we consider that if each of these elements is not working or following the specifications, they are going to fail. And once again, this is not true. That leads me to explain you, for those that are not aware of, the difference between what Hollnagel calls work as managed and work as done. For us, because I'm also an ergonomist, for us in ergonomy, we call it task and activity. And these 2 are different things. When we are speaking about work as managed, we are talking about what those that are away from the practice think workers do. Okay? But when we go to the field and we analyze and we watch, we observe the workers, they actually do differently from what is prescribed. They don't always follow procedures. Okay? They don't always follow standards. And there's a reason for that. And surprisingly, most of the time, they don't fail. So this gives us something to think about and to realize what we are doing wrong here. Another problem, so I think I'm going to the fourth problem that I've realized we are facing now, is that organizations do not need to be larger in number, but in fact what is happening is that we watch an increase on the variability of elements present in our organization. We have different people performing different tasks, different operations with different interests. So this makes a reality, the presence of variability. On the other hand, we have also an issue with dynamics. For many years, we thought that organizations were static. And this is still a reality for some people, because they think when an accident happens, if they go back 2-3 days after the accident, they think they are going to see exactly what was there when the accident happened. And it is not real. So when we combine variability with diversity, we get what we call complex systems. And attention, because a complex system is not necessarily a complicated system. They are different things, okay? But if we come with that, most organizations are like this, this becomes a problem. How can we deal with that? And aligned with this is the problem that we now realize that there are things that we cannot imagine that can exist or happen. So far, we were aware that we have certain knowledge. We were aware that there were things we know existed, but we didn't understand or didn't have a full understanding of it. But now we are realizing that there are things that may exist, but we cannot think they really exist. So this is also a problem. And to give one or two examples of what I am saying it's a complex system, we must think, for instance, in an airport, and probably most of you have already used an airport. Another example of a complex system is an hospital. I hope this one most of you haven't experienced yet. So why are there complex systems? Because we have different goals in different areas, and probably they interfere with each other. So when we are aiming at attaining certain goals, they have competing parts, and it's difficult to deal with it. So we cannot think about the different elements of a system independently. We must have an understanding and what we call actually an holistic view and understanding of the system. So it's really important to understand the interactions that occur between those elements. So with this in mind, Melo proposes a second or a new or a revolutionary definition for safety. So why don't we consider that safety is the condition where we really succeed? If we have this in mind, when we have high levels of safety, we have a high number of good, positive outcomes. So this is a game changer. And if you look at the definition, there's a word that is quite important here and that I've already used during my presentation. And that word is variability, varying conditions. And we must be aware that this is a reality nowadays. Nothing is static, so there's variability going on. So this is what Melo calls safety 2. what are the underlying assumptions of this approach, or this different approach? So the first one is variability, of course, and variability is not only addressed to what are the working conditions, but also our own performance. We do not perform always the same way. Okay? But we have to adjust our performance to make sure that everything runs smoothly. Another important issue is that this variability of our own performance is the one that explains that sometimes we succeed, sometimes we fail. So it is important to look at human performance variability to understand what's going right and what's going wrong. So to do this, the important thing to do is to observe work as done. And this is what ergonomics does for quite a few years. So why are safety professionals so reluctant to adhere to this practice? I know it's time-consuming, yeah, that's true, but it is so rich in information, useful for our practice. So you must think about it. Throughout the time, we have watched that when safety professionals come to or are face-to-face with an accident that they cannot explain based on the current conceptual framework, a new one appears. So when we think about the first revolution, we realized that technology was the main issue, so that was the focus of safety. Around the 70s, the 3 Mile Island accident in the nuclear plant revealed that human factor was an important issue to consider when analyzing accidents and trying to avoid similar accidents in the future. So from then on, we not only considered safeguarding, but also the human behaviors to be analyzed whenever we thought about safety. In the 80s, 2 major accidents make us realize that there was something else that we are not considering. That was Chernobyl and the loss of the Challenger space shuttle. And for those that recall, we saw live on TV the loss of the space shuttle. So these two make it clear that there was a real importance regarding the interaction between the social aspects within an enterprise and technology. So this interaction came up as relevant. Unfortunately, more recently, already in this century, we had two other accidents that brought something new to us. And that was linked to our lack of knowledge about things that were not anticipated, which was reported about after the Twin Towers collapse in New York, and 10 years after the Fukushima accident, after the earthquake and the tsunami. So these weren't anticipated, so they weren't planned ahead, so people didn't know what to do. But it was not until 2021 that the International Labour Organization called for resilient occupational health and safety management systems. So it took a while for professionals within the OSH domain to realize this is really important. So there's something we have to consider now, that is, we have to anticipate things. So, with the turn of the century, we became aware that resilience was important for occupational health and safety. And the definition is more or less the same for different domains. So I believe that you are aware of it. So I will move on. What I wanted to share with you is how can we build a resilient safety system within an enterprise. For this, I believe that these 4 potentials should be developed within an enterprise. And this is, of course, not my idea. It was developed by Nagel. But this is the potential to learn, the potential to respond, the potential to monitor, and the potential to anticipate. Why these 4? It could be 5, 6, 3. These 4 because they are enough to develop a resilient system, and because they are not redundant. Nagel also thinks that we could add probably communication, potential to communicate, the potential to plan, and the potential to adapt. But if you think a bit more about this, you will realize that they are integrated within. So we need to know what to expect in the future. We need to know what to look for. Some things are not worth to monitor. So we have to take care of our resources and spend them right. We need to know and be prepared to respond to possible events. And finally, we need to learn from what we know, from our past. And time is running. I have to run. So, one important thing, I will split this one. Important thing I want to look at is that we are spending too much time learning from accidents, incidents, and near misses. Okay? And if we look at their frequency distribution, they happen in a little proportion of time. So we are missing all this. We have to learn from what goes right. Okay? Don't miss this. And the Safety 2 approach says us to take advantage of all we have at our hand. So, splitting, because I'm running out of time, I just wanted to share with you what I think about anticipation, because this is the main problem. We could think that when we are planning and when we are doing risk assessment, we are taking care of the future of the company. That's true. But that's a short-term vision. We need to have a long-term vision. And for that, we have to look at threats and opportunities for the company. Okay? So we have to build new scenarios and work on them. For that to happen, we must have people dedicated to that, and we need time, and time means money. So it's not easy to develop this potential. Finally, and I'm almost finishing, there's a tool that can be tailored to the characteristics of each company, and should be tailored to the characteristics of each company, that is called Resilience Assessment Grid. And that allows us to assess each of the potentials and present them using radar graphs, which are quite self-explaining. And we can identify for each potential what are the factors that we need to invest on and what are the ones that are already at the top level. So they use a Likert scale. You can adjust the scale, and it should be applied frequently, so we can monitor frequently what's happening in the company, and we can develop and invest in the areas that require intervention. So we can build on the resilience of the company. So, having that said, we have now here a new maturity level scale, and so actually nowadays we should seek for attaining the highest level. That means that we should have a resilient system, a safety system within our companies if we want to succeed in this area. And finally, just to highlight some points of my presentation, I would like you to remind you and to highlight the importance of networking. That's one of the reasons I'm here. I was here in June. I'm here again because I think this type of events is enrichment. We can share best practices. And finally, just to highlight another one, I want you to challenge yourselves and try to observe what workers are really doing and what are the difference between that and what was prescribed. And talk to them. Why are you doing this in a different way? Because they have access to privileged information, and we are also neglecting that. Okay? So establish a good relation with your workers, and you will get the information you don't even imagine you can have access to. Okay? So thank you very much. You have my email address if you have any questions that I won't be able to answer now, or you can address to me afterwards. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Melo.